In today's video, we are going to multiply polynomials. So yesterday you added polynomials, you subtracted polynomials. Today we're going to multiply. This is one of my favorite lessons of the year because it's very straightforward and one of the most important lessons of Algebra 1. So when we multiply polynomials, what we have to do is just distribute. So in this first example, I'm going to zoom in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle the monomial that's on the outside. So I'm going to circle that 2x. And I'm going to distribute it to both pieces. So a 2, when you distribute, you multiply. So 2 times 3 is 6. If this one has an x and this one has an x, then it has to be x squared, or x2, because there was 2 x's. Okay, so I distributed it to the first term. Now I'm going to take the 2x and I'm going to distribute to the second term. 2 times 5 is a positive 10. There was an x with this 2. So when I distribute, we have an x. Super easy. So in example 1, I distribute the number in front of the parentheses. Let's try example 2. Same thing. So I'm going to take this negative 5s, and I'm going to distribute it to both terms. A negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10. There's an s here, and there's an s here. So together, that makes s 2. There's 2 s's, s squared. So now negative 5s, I need to multiply to this other term here, but we have to be careful, because this is the number negative 6. So negative 5 times negative 6 is a positive 30, and there's an s here, so I need to make sure I put an s in my answer. So negative 5s was distributed to both terms. Okay, let's do another one. Same exact thing, just a little bit bigger. So this number in front needs to distribute to all of my terms. 3 times 4 is 12. There's an x here, there's 2 x's here, so that makes x to the third. 3 times 6 is 18. There's an x here and an x here, so that makes x 2. 3 times 1 is 3. There's an x here, so I have to have an x in my answer. Very easy. So I took my 3x and I gave it to each of my terms. Super easy. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, but now it's called double distributing. So what that means is I'm going to take this x and I'm going to send it to both terms. So if there's an x here and an x here, that's going to make x 2. And x times a 7 is a 7x. So that's the first distributing. Now it's called double distributing. So now I need to send the second term. Positive 4 times x is a positive 4x. Positive 4 times 7 is the number 28. Now I have these things called like terms. We talked about these yesterday. If they have the same letter with the same exponent, you can add their coefficients. So my final answer, this x squared gets to come down. 7x's plus 4x's is 11x's. And then this plus 28 in the back gets to come down. Notice in the middle term, there's no square here. You combine like terms, you just add the coefficients. 7 plus 4 is 11. Some teachers call this FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. It's the same thing. Personally, I think it's way easier if we just think of it like distributing. So I'll do that one more time with you, and then you'll try a few on your own. Take the first term and send it to both terms. 5 times 3 is 15. An x with another x is x squared. 5 times 6 is positive 30 with an x. Same idea, double distribute, so now I have a second term. Positive 2 times positive 3 is a positive 6 with an x. Positive 2 times positive 6 is a positive 12. If you have letters that are the same, you can combine them. So my final answer, the front number gets to come down. There were no other x squareds. These numbers in the middle get to be combined. 30x's and 6x's make 36x's. The number in the back gets to come down. Okay, we distribute the first number, we distribute the second number, and then we combine like terms. Okay, when you're ready, I want you to try number 6 and number 7. On number 6, be very careful with your negatives. So the first one's easy. 8 z's times 4 z's. 8 times 4 is 32. A z with another z is z to the second power. 8z times negative 1 is a negative 8z. So that first one's super easy. When you distribute your second term, you have to take its sign with him. Let me write this one down for you. 8 times 4 is 32. A z with another z is z to the second. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8 with a z. Okay, so that was the first one that I sent to both terms. The second one, negative 5 times 4 is a negative 20 with the letter z. Be careful, negative 5 times negative 1 is a positive 5. A negative times a negative multiplies to make a positive. So that's what I get when I double distribute. But now I have these numbers in the middle that have the same letter. Those are called like terms. So my final answer, the first number comes down, 32 z squared. Negative 8 z's minus 20 z's. You can use a calculator to help you if you need it. Negative 8 minus 20 is the number negative 28. And the letter was z. And then the back number gets to come down. Very easy. Okay, number 7, do the same thing. Take the first term, distribute. 2 times 2 is 4, x squared. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10 with an x. 5 times 2 is 10 with an x. Be careful, 5 times negative 5 is a negative 25. Distribute the first term, distribute the second term. These x's in the middle can get combined. Negative 10 plus 10 is 0. So they cancel out. There are no x's. You don't even have to write 0 x's because it's just 0. So the front comes down, and then the back comes down, and that's your answer. You don't even have to write your middle term because they canceled out. It was 0. All right, number 8. So in number 8, anytime you see a 2, I can't just square them. I have to write it twice. 3x minus 4 with another 3x minus 4. That's way too big. Let's make it smaller. So 3x minus 4 and another 3x minus 4. Okay, so that's the question. Now you're going to double distribute the first term and then the second term. Very easy. Okay, a couple more. The last two are the same thing, just a little bit bigger. So I'll do 9 with you, and then you can try number 10. So in number 9, same thing. I'm going to take this x, and I'm going to send it to every term. A 1x and a 6x squared. 1 times 6 is 6. An x here, 2 x's here, makes x 3. A 1x times a 2x is a positive 2x squared. This has an x. This has an x. That's why it's x squared. A 1x times a 4 is a positive 4x. So now I'm going to do the same thing. Now I have to distribute my second term. So what that means is I'm going to take this positive 3, and I'm going to send this one to every single piece. 3 times 6 is 18. It has 2 x's. 3 times 2 is a positive 6 with an x. 3 times 4 is a positive 12. Okay, combine like terms. 6x cubed has no friends, so he can come down. 2x squareds and 18x squareds. 2 plus 18 is 20x squareds. Positive 4x's and 6x's makes 10x. And then there's a plus 12 in the back. So I had to combine like terms. Easy. Try that same thing for number 10. Distribute the 3a, distribute the 4, then combine the exponents that are the same. When you combine them, you just add their coefficients. You just put their big numbers together and keep their same exponent. All right, so now I'm going to show you what this would look like on a STAR test. I'm going to give you the option of checking your work in Desmos. Some of you guys really like to do it by hand. That's fine. You can always solve by hand. Some of you like to check your work in Desmos. That's fine too. So the phrase, which expression is equivalent to, is one of the most popular phrases on the Algebra 1 STAR test. It's one that STAR loves. It's also one that I love because it makes it super easy. So anytime that you see the phrase, which is equivalent to, what you can do is just type it into Desmos. So 3x plus 2 and a 2x minus 8. See what that looks like. 3x plus 2, 2x minus 8. So here's the graph of that expression. So now what I can do is I can type in option A and see if it matches, see if it's equivalent. 3x squared minus 20x minus 16. 3x squared minus 20x minus 16. Okay, is this blue graph right on top of the red graph? Absolutely not. So the answer is not A. They're not the same. So it's not A. So now I'm going to type in B. 6x squared minus 20x minus 16. The first one stays. The second one types 6x squared minus 20x minus 16. Make sure I read that right. Yep. Here it is. So here's the red graph. You can zoom in if that helps you. There's the red graph. Here's the green graph. Are those exactly the same? Yeah. So that means those have to be equivalent. So the correct answer for number 1 is B. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with number 2. Of course, you could do this by hand and see what you get this way. This is just an option if you want to check your work, or if you prefer just to use Desmos to get your answer here. So in number 2, same thing, but remember, Desmos doesn't like any letter except for X. So I don't want A's here. I want X's. 4x minus 5 and a 2x plus 6. Okay, so here's the graph. Looks like this. Let's type in A. Remember, we have to use letter X. 4x squared plus 14x minus 6. There it is. Does that black graph sit right on top of the purple graph? No. It's next to the purple. So the correct answer is not A. Let's try B. 2x squared plus 5x minus 6. Okay, there's the red graph. Doesn't match the purple, so it's not B. Let's try C. 8x squared plus 14x minus 30. There it is. There's the purple graph. Here's, ooh, they're so close. Oh, it's a 14. Sorry, guys. Here we go. There it is. Okay, here's the purple graph. Here's the blue graph. They're exactly the same. They're equivalent. They're the same. So the correct answer is C. Okay, so last two for today. You can do it by hand or you can plug it into Desmos. If you're using Desmos, you're just going to type this in. Anytime you see the phrase, which expression is equivalent, you can just type this in, and see if they match. Okay, same thing for letter number 4. If you're using Desmos for number 4, just make sure you change these to the letter X when you type it into Desmos. Then you can type in option A using the letter X and see if they match. Okay, so multiplying polynomials are very easy. You just double distribute, or if you have answer choices with the which expression is equivalent to, you can just type it in and see which one matches.